What up, Youth Denver? Welcome to today's Developer DAO AMA. Nader, Ryan, we're gonna make it happen. Thank you for being here. So obviously, we gotta kick it off with some swag. Who wants some of these Developer DAO socks and a probably nothing sticker? First one to come grab it gets it. Yes, it's a do-ocracy. Get in there. So, for those of you who don't know Developer DAO, we're training the next generation of Web3 builders, and we're building public goods, and we're training builders to build public goods. We're making a better world, yeah? Yeah, we're getting some claps for a better world. That's good. That's good. We're on the same page. If you got any talking points, now's the time.
Yeah, I mean, the title of this talk is like, or this discussion is the road from Web 2 to Web 3. And so we're going to talk about both the DAO itself, because like that was part of my journey from Web 2 into Web 3, but also just anyone that has questions or wants to kind of just have like a discussion around certain talking points about kind of transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3. I've been a developer for like 10 years, worked at the traditional tech world for 9 years and transitioned into Web 3 like in April of 2021. Okay, sorry, I wasn't talking close enough. So I transitioned to this space in April of 2021, and I have a lot of thoughts around, how developers can kind of, like this, like this, like this. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so
like this. It's
going to be a general like discussion around both Developer DAO as well as moving from Web 2 to Web 3. So, Ryan, do you want to kind of like take it from here or what?
Yeah. I absolutely do. I made a promise that I would wear this on stage, and so that I could get it. So I'm just going to take it, put it on. So first of all, I'd love to get our members, if anyone's got some questions they want to tee us up. What world do you want to see us build, or what questions do you have about the world that we're building? The man with the mic is back here. This is a discussion format. So much of the theme of the DAO has been like, it's so easy to get on stage and talk at people, right? Anybody can talk at people. I could talk at you all day. I'd have a great time doing it. I don't know that it would suit you guys though. So we're here to connect with the community and build a better world together. So let's talk about public goods. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions they want to throw out?
A man with his hand. Let's go.
Yeah, just to kick this off, I'm kind of new to the whole, I'm a Web 2 dev getting into this. So could you just give a brief overview of DAOs, and in this case, what differentiates your DAO, developer DAO in this case?
From just DAOs in general.
Yeah, like what do you guys do? I know nothing about what it is you have going on, so just an intro would be kind of nice.
All right, that's fair. It's a softball. So DAOs are like, in the traditional world, you would have a company, right? And the company would have shareholders, and the shareholders would vote, and you'd have directors and employees, and they'd be bound to a certain jurisdiction. But in the Web3 world, it's not all about boots on the ground. It's about having a global community. So we've got members, and we're a democratic DAO, and our mission is training builders and building public goods. And so we all decide together, what do we want to happen? And it's, instead of like we employ you to do this job, it's more like, what is your vision and what are your dreams, and how can we support you to make that happen? What do you want to see happen? How can we enable you to take initiative? How can we give you resources to make it happen? So the model is a little different. It's not about you changing yourself to work with us. It's about us adding your uniqueness and growing together. Was that buzzwords, or did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, the way I might also phrase it is like, it's just a community of people that have gotten together, and we kind of like share ownership of the community, and we build stuff together, we make friends, and we make connections. People have landed jobs, they've had opportunities and stuff like that. And part of like building this community, the strength of it as it grows, typically they're tokenized, so it can be an ERC 721 token or an ERC 20 token or both. So we launched our DAO with an ERC 721. Anyone that wanted to join could actually pick one up for free. All they had to do was like mint it directly directly from the contract. And in order to kind of like access the token gated Discord, you would need the token. Now, our objective is to build public goods that don't need any type of token or anything to kind of enjoy what we're doing and to maybe benefit from it. So a lot of the things that we're doing are like open source software, free events, like we did a developer DAO meetup last night that everyone in the whole world could have come to, regardless if you're a member or not. We're putting on Web3 Con, which is going to be like, to me, the best Web3 conference ever. Rahat is over here, and a lot of people are here from the DAO that have helped organize it. We share really, really great content from our Twitter feed, a very good curated list of developer learning resources. And anyone that participated in the DAO over the last 6 months, if they found themselves bored or they don't want to kind of be a part of the community anymore, they can kind of take that token and transfer it to someone else and let them come in, or they can even sell it. So it's kind of like they have stake, they have some type of ownership, and we're still just experimenting and finding like new things, but I've been a community builder for like 5 or 6 years. I've never seen the incentive, the incentives line up to build a strong community than I have with DAOs. I mean, I've seen and I've tried almost everything, and this is like on a whole nother level. Like I would say, when you think about these ideas of like 10 or 100x improvements, I think that DAOs are kind of like giving that for people that want to build communities.
Yeah, tooling to enable people's visions and communities across the world. And if you've got communities you want to see built, like maybe we can help you build them. If your community's about public goods. I see a question. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I'm curious how you see brands surviving, like big brands. How are they going to survive in Web3?
They're not.
Well, I was going to ask, how can they leverage DAOs to build, communities of brand advocates and things like that? What sort of data analytics, I'm also curious, can we leverage to understand how they're engaging these communities?
Traditional companies, I mean, we're starting to see a lot of like quote-unquote Web2 companies try to kind of get their foot in the door in Web3. A lot of the high-end brands like Burberry and Gucci are like getting into NFTs. You obviously have heard like Facebook, PayPal, like Google, Microsoft, all like doing blockchain stuff. Like mainly I feel like the hype over the last 6 months has kind of like gotten all of them, wanting to participate. I have no idea how those brands will be doing it, but I'm sure they're going to try, and I guess we're still going to kind of see how that happens. But most of the time, when someone launches something, there's meaning behind it. That like the successful projects either are providing some utility or something like of value, or there's like meaning behind it. Like the person that created this community, they have like a background of doing cool art or something like that, and they want to kind of actually, now maybe monetize that. Whereas like buying an NFT from like McDonald's just doesn't feel right, So I don't know the answer to that.
All right. I had to think about it for a second. It's a real mindset shift. So like brands, right? They have their thing that they're doing. If you want to leverage, let's talk about Developer DAO. Okay, so we're building public goods, right? If you have a brand and you want to ride our success, then you have to be about what we're about. So you have to care about public goods. You have to actively support public goods. So it's not enough to just, and we welcome you to come give us money for sponsorships and like all that stuff. That's really good. But if you want your brand to actually carry weight with people, then you have to be about what we're about. So we're about public goods. So get together with your teams and talk about how can we actually make the world a better place. Like the McDonald's example. It's like, are they, they'd have to really work kind of hard to be about public goods. But they could do it if they really wanted to. If the leadership team got together and they're like, you know what, we're gonna go feed the hungry. We're gonna make that our thing. We're gonna pick a week every year where we just give out hamburgers or something, It takes some thinking.
Hey, what are the big impediments preventing Web2 developers going into Web3? Could you hear me? No.
One more time.
What's the big impediments preventing Web2 developers going to Web3?
What are the big impediments to getting into Web3? Psychological impediments are the greatest. Like people hold themselves back. They're like, oh, I couldn't do it, or oh, I'm not good enough, or oh, it's too confusing. Like, spoiler alert, it's confusing forever. It never stops feeling that way. You just gotta dive right in and make it happen. So join up with Developer DAO, get the NFT, we'll train you up.
How do
Yeah.
you alleviate those? Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
How do you alleviate that big hurdle? What's the easiest way to get started?
I can kind of speak to this a little bit. A lot of the focus that I've had over the last 10 months is onboarding developers into Web3, and I've kind of talked to like so many of them and seen so many of them successfully transition. I would say like two thoughts around this whole idea of like what would be the impediments. First of all, the tech stack is a lot different than what we're used to as developers in the traditional world. I've talked about this a million times, but I guess it's worth repeating here since you asked. But like when you build in a traditional tech stack, like using primitives like AWS or maybe Google Cloud or just building your own server, you typically have like these building blocks. Like you need a server, you need a database, you need a file storage system, maybe S3, you need like a front end. And like using these primitives and these building blocks, you can build out an application. In the Web3 space, the tech stack is like so much different because if you're building like a decentralized application, parts of the tech stack are not even fully fleshed out yet. Like, so what does peer-to-peer data look like? A decentralized data, like off-chain data store. We have a handful of options, but none of them are like as mature as something like a traditional database. So trying to understand like where all these pieces fit in, how mature they are, like when to use them. And then now we're adding in the idea of like smart contracts and blockchain in addition to all that other stuff. Identity is a lot different. So I think the successful developers are kind of like taking a look at like what the tech stack looks like, understanding the ecosystem and like which tools and primitives and protocols to use, and learning how to do those or learning how to use those. Front-end developers tend to transition extremely well because they don't really need to do anything with their skill set transitions 100%, but a back-end developer typically has issues because like, I mean, I wouldn't say issues, but they can't just directly transfer their knowledge. But I would say that another just general thought is like Web3 seems to reward the people that take action. So if you want to kind of get into Web3, you can have, there's just so much opportunity and I've never really say that I've met like too many talented people that wanted to get in that weren't able to just land a role. And the people that seem to succeed the fastest are the ones that just like take action without having to like have their hand held or have someone like tell them what to do. Like join a Discord or maybe follow a couple of protocols that you would like to work with, understand like the people that are involved in those, find ways to contribute and get your name out there and things like that. One final thought is like I'm a big fan of like we've been talking about public goods, but grants programs in Web3 are really, really, really powerful, and people that want to kind of get their foot in the door in Web3 don't have to actually like quit their job and go full time. You can actually land a grant. So the Graph protocol where I work, we have around $1 million or $2 million of grants that we give out every wave. And part of those grants could be for tooling or documentation or educational resources. So if you want to get paid, you want to learn, you want to like get connected with the people within these protocols, every protocol has a grants program, sometimes up to in the hundreds of millions or even $1 billion in certain circumstances. So I think like finding a grants program, getting paid to contribute and learning, and that's a great way to kind of get your foot in the door.
As you've been building out your DAO, what are some of the biggest challenges in terms of managing and governance for the DAO?
It's not so easy. What are the biggest challenges? Getting the right people in the right positions and getting the structures right and being nimble. So we know that we're going to have to reinvent ourselves and come out of the cocoon over and over and over again, and we just have to be comfortable with that. So we just had an election for our operations team. I'm on it. Kemp, he's not here, but we're leading that operations team. And today we've got an operations team because we realized we needed an operations team because we had operational challenges. Months from now, seasons from now, that structure may change. We'll have different structures. But if we continue to listen to our community and bring in new people and work with our partners and stay nimble, we can meet the challenges that we have at the time that we have them. So just being open to change. So it's challenging to be constantly changing, but you get used to it.
Yeah, it seems to be defining like the balance between taking action and getting community buy-in and how delegation might play into all that. It's been extremely complicated. I mean, governance is like one of the toughest problems to solve in the world. So like in general, you know, it always has been like historically. I think DAOs offer a better mechanism for people to kind of like express their thoughts and feelings around how a company or a team should like function better than what we had in the past, but it's still not there yet. We're still learning and improving and stuff, and I think everyone is just experimenting, and I think DAO tooling over the next 12 months or so will probably help us out a lot. But I think the key is maybe like learning from as many other DAOs as possible, experimenting and being willing to change and try to understand that you're never going to be perfect and you're going to make mistakes. And when that happens, you just learn from those and keep going.
I bet you weren't expecting the challenges that we had when you released that NFT the first time. Things change. Yeah, I got one from Josh back here from MetaGov.
Chris, I just have one question. Why?
That's a
Why?
good question.
Why, what?
Why?
Why are we here?
Just why?
We're making a better world.
We're having
have
a
to
lot
do
of fun. Even if we close the DAO today and we never do anything again, the party that we had last night was worth it.
Yes! That's what I like to hear. Great answer.
We can't stand by and do nothing. The world needs us to build these public goods, and we can't expect anyone else to do it for us. It's got to be us. It's got to be today. There are people out there who need what we're doing. So that's why I wake up every day. I'm like, we're making a better world, and we need your help. Get in here. Join us. Work with us. I'm going to make it happen. Thank you, Josh. Teed us up for that one.
Another question, but we have a couple, but we'll here and then these two here. Yeah, and then we'll come back here.
Hi. Thank you for the party last night. It was amazing. Shout out to Developer DAO. Let's give a round of applause for Developer DAO.
I want to shout out Em and Ryan and all the other coordinators, and they did an amazing job. I mean, we're just so lucky.
I guess we should start with I have a coordination question for Ryan, coordinator. What do you think are some of the biggest obstacles for DAO coordination and coordination in general in these systems? What are some of the biggest hurdles?
Some of the biggest hurdles. So there's a balance to be struck in terms of initiative and empowerment. So like I was saying, you got to take initiative and you got to take action. And so right now, each of us as individuals, we're empowered to do whatever we want. And then on behalf of the DAO, there's a question of how much initiative can an individual member take? Like if someone buys an NFT today and joins our Discord and then talks to you and says, I'm gonna make a commitment on behalf of the DAO, like is that legitimate? Trying to find a way to structure the empowerment around how much initiative people can take and how legitimate that is a structural coordination question. And then once we've decided where we want to go, like getting community buy-in on direction, then coordinating people to all move in the same direction at the same time. So getting ideas from the community and like making decisions about them collectively continues to be a problem, not just for Developer DAO and not just for DAOs in general, but for like countries and justice systems. It like is not a small problem. I'm getting the 2-minute warning.
So I think we had 2 more questions up here.
Hey, so first of all, thank you very much for the party last night. Do you have any advice for developers with a Web2 background looking to get involved in grants programs?
Yeah, I would just kind of look at the landscape. I should write a post about this, but I've done a couple of threads that line up like 20 grants programs that are very generous. I would look at all of those programs, maybe narrow it down to 5, and then just think about ways that you might be able to contribute using whatever knowledge that you have, or maybe even things that you don't know today. So a great example of a good place to start is let's say you want to learn Near protocol. Send in a grants request to create the best Near protocol tutorial ever built before. Even if you've never written a line of the code, you can learn that. Ask for $5,000. I'm pretty sure you're going to get it as long as you express that. And that's a really easy place to start. We've given grants to the tune of like $500,000 or more to developers that, like a single developer that is proposing a tool that will improve the Web3 ecosystem also. So there's like a very wide range, but use your imagination and just throw ideas out there. You just never know what's gonna like happen, and yeah.
Thank you.
They're pretty generous.
Imagination is the key word there. You got to channel your dreams. Lots of people are out here ready to help make your dreams come true. You just got to channel them. Don't lose them. Do we have time for one more question? And thank you for coming to the party. We're going to do a lot more of those. Sponsors, let's make it happen.
I was curious, how do you guys deal with people that have different appetites for decentralization when you're building these tools? So like you mentioned like building open source software. You know, what if someone wants to just like run everything on a database? You know, how do you choose that stack? Obviously, developers have different tech stacks that they want to use. How do you come to that decision? And I was just curious how that like voting works.
I think the primitives that Web3 offers are kind of a lot different than anything we've ever thought of before. And if you really want to build applications that are truly decentralized and therefore leverage some of the characteristics like having composable open public backends, then it's automatically kind of out of the question to use a centralized database. I also think that there is a like suite of technologies that we have today to build on, and it's different than what we had 5 years ago, and it's different than what we had 10 years ago. And if you want to kind of be a Web3 developer, that doesn't mean you're going to not use all of those things that you had in the past. Instead, you're going to now say, okay, now we have blockchains, we have identity that can be completely anonymous identity. We have new ways of self-sovereign identity. Where can I, leverage my existing skill set along with these new tools and primitives to build out new applications, and then, kind of come up with things based on just your understanding of the entire ecosystem. And I also think that if you want to kind of build a decentralized application today, you can't always have every single piece of functionality that you need, because we don't have the space is too nascent. So you have this idea of progressive decentralization, where you kind of build applications decentralized when possible, and then fill in the other parts, I guess, with other pieces that they might not be decentralized. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. This has been so awesome, and it's early days. We can't wait to build a better future with you. Come bring us your dreams. We'll make it happen. Thank you, everyone.